Hey guys, MoPower here again. Going to be doing a video a little bit differently this time. Most of my videos have been for low levels or fresh 70s for farming and leveling. This time is going to be a video for those that have multiple high level tunes and are looking to start gearing up for more in-game content. This is going to be a survival build, mixed mode on Alchemy Laboratory. It's the easiest of the maps to solo. There's no flyers, no ogres, so it's very popular. Anyway, what you'll need for this would be a monk, a trapper, a apprentice, and a squire, so one of each. Approximately 200-ish stats, maybe 250, 300 in your tower attack for your trapper and your monk. So, you know, if you're already at in-game, that's not a really hard thing to get to. So anyway, I'll set this up here. I'm not going to run through, obviously, all the waves. But you do have options. The reason I choose mixed mode is the loot's better, and I believe there's less mobs. But anyway, I start on wave 7. It seems to be a sweet spot for my setup, but if you're having trouble, try 5 or 6, and I'll show you what I do. This is pretty much how I've been getting all my in-game gear. I have this guy right now. I'll show you his stats here once I set up some auras. So what you want to do is set up for this first wave a snare and electric on the back and a snare and electric in the front. This is just going to help you for that first wave to DPS the mobs down a little bit, make it a little easier. The only thing you have to worry about on the first wave is archers in the back or the front trying to shoot at your crystal, but that's only for the first wave. And if it gets hit once or twice, it's normally not a big deal. They don't do that much damage. So anyway, the stats for my monk right now are overkill. You do not need stats like this, but I've got 500 tower attack, 256 health, 307 in radius, and 300 in effects. That's because I'm using the gear that I've gotten from here, but I started it when my stats were around 200 or so. Alright, so swap to my countess, which is the squire. This is all I use them for are walls, so you can drop all that like that. I try to drop it back just a little bit from the front edge here. The reason for that is you won't get as many guys stopping like right here and trying to shoot at it. Be a little bit tucked back. You don't want to tuck back too far though, because then you'll have a higher frequency of, on the later waves, some of the mobs, especially the big orc brutish type guys, if they're poison immune or snare immune, they'll come running right through here, and if you have that back too far, every once in a great while they'll run through and like glitch out and run right over the wall. Doesn't happen too often, but sometimes. Same thing back here. These walls are just temporary for the first wave. After the first wave I swap them out. So they're just there to make sure no mobs can run in at the crystal. At this point you want to switch to the DPS character. I would suggest a range character, either a hunter or apprentice, even a monk would work. That's all what you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. First wave is 400 guys. Shouldn't be too terribly hard. I try not to stand at the crystal if all possible and just run around and kill things. With apprentice, or excuse me, with the enemies out, that helps quite a bit as well. So you don't have to shoot as much. But mainly you want to try to kill things before they get up to the walls. Arrows, fireballs at the top. It really shouldn't happen, but every once in a while you'll find archers, especially I noticed on the back, will randomly shoot an arrow at it in this first wave. So I try to clear out and then start upgrading the first couple walls. There's these walls here in the front are going to be steel. So Again, these first few waves of mobs aren't too bad. Just watch your health as you run around. But if you've got a somewhat decent DPS character, you shouldn't have too much trouble. Just run around, kill everything. You've got extra mana. Upgrade the auras, this front stuff here. I prefer this male hunter. The spread shot tends to clear areas better than shooting walls or through this front area. It doesn't hit as hard, but it hits other mobs. As you notice, I use the map quite a bit, even when I'm running this, just to see where mobs are. When they're standing back, not getting hit by something. Pop the walls up again. Plenty of mana for this next wave. Almost done with this wave. So pet do its thing. And oh, we got one guy back here. Oh, I guess okay. There's a few more. So normally on this first wave, I upgrade the walls to 3, the auras here to 2, and then I normally get the aura back here up 1 level as well. Now that they've changed it to where upgrades are a lot more of an increase per level, I believe it's roughly about a 20% increase now. So I guess we can go ahead and throw these up to 2. Again, don't worry about these back walls. Obviously, if you're not paying attention, one of them starts going down, you want to make sure it stays up for this entire first wave, but really shouldn't be much of an issue. Okay, so wave complete. Just trying to get a little bit more mana here, and I'll show you the rest of the setup. Now, the reason a lot of people have been wanting a video like this, and some of my friends as well, this is where I get my high-level gear. Let's see, armor with decent stats up to, I think the highest I've ever gotten, and that was on wave 25, was a 9 or a 61 upgrade. Oops. And yeah, I think it was 69. Okay, now for this here, I do something a little bit different than most people do. Since my aura's a little bit bigger, I have to take at least 1 to 2 pieces of gear off to get this how I want to. About 160 or so, I think, that's about where I'd put it. But I put this, this guy, I gotta take some more gear off. Being that this game still has random glitches, you will have mobs that decide to go running right through stuff without hitting anything, and it's really a pain. So the way I combated that is, let's see. Okay. If you put this back as far back as you can go, right about there. Now the reason I did that to make it smaller is because you can't put it up against the crystal. It can only be about that far away from the crystal. I took it all off, and what will happen is when I put my gear back on, it'll raise this out to where it covers about half the crystal here. And it'll cover the walls and stuff once I put my gear back on. And what's nice about that is if you do happen to have a random mob get through a wall, get past you, or what have you, they'll be in the strength drain here in the back. And when I do the front part here, they'll also be in a strength drain. So I put the strength drain as far back as I can get it on both sides, and again, when they get bigger, you'll see it covers up pretty well. So then here you want electric aura right on the edge, and then a snare. I move the snare back to about the middle of the rug here. The reason for that is I don't want the snare hitting them just as they're coming out of here. I want to have a little bit of space before they get snared. It reduces the amount of backup back here in this purple area where they're immune, so I try to keep it back there a little bit ways. So Pretty much for auras, you've got the 3 auras, the snare, electric, and strength drain in the front and the back. Well, what I call the front and the back. Technically it's the east and the west side. And then you're going to have a snare and electric on the north and the south. Put my gear back on and I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as coverage. Hopefully it won't be too bad for the video. Let's see. As you can see, I've made some pretty decent money doing this. I've got almost 400 million right now from selling random things. The pets I get from doing this solo sell pretty well. They tend to be 78 or 79 upgrade giraffes. I've done this a few times now on solo, so that's given me a good chunk of money, but the majority of my money has all been dumped back into my gear. So, higher level gear costs a lot to upgrade. So anyway, looks like, okay, I forgot, I have all, no, my chest. Okay, one more piece of gear. Okay, went right by it. Alright, there we go. Okay, now I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as the coverage of the strength drains. You see this one? It's coming down right to the edge of the crystal. Now that'll protect any mobs coming from the front that run up and hit the crystal. They're going to be standing in a strength drain. So if they happen to hit the crystal, and this is just protecting for a glitch, because the game still glitches and I got tired of losing. So if you look here, this one's covering about half the crystal. Oh, some lag. This one comes back, covers about half the crystal, and this one covers a little bit to the front. The reason why I don't bring this one back even farther by dropping my radius more is, well, there's a couple reasons. Actually, I forgot. I don't bring it back that far. I changed it up the last time I ran this, so I forgot about that. My apologies. Let me put it where I put it now. I forgot the last time I ran it I changed it, so just put it here in like the middle like that, and what it'll do is it'll come right pretty much to this line here, well, depending on your stats. Now the reason for this I'll show you here in a minute when I swap to my other guy. Put my pet back on. You want to have all your gear back on before you swap characters so that your auras and everything will be to its max stats if possible. So you swap. Now the only thing you use your Apprentice for this, and it's because you want the defensive units, is the reason why I swapped these to mage walls. Now they're going to be sitting in the strength drain, so they don't really get hit. The only times you really have to worry about them is maybe after, say, wave 20 or so. Just keep a good watch on them. It's easy. If you stand up here, as you're repairing things up here, you just turn around and kind of glance. You'll see if they're damaged at all. So that's all I do with the Apprentice. So, oh wait, one more thing. Wait till I pick that mana back up. There is one other thing I do, because there's one more defensive unit, and this protects a lot to the front, and this is the reason why I only bring the strength drain back to about here. The reason for that is I put a wall right out, try to get it as much in the middle, as close as you can get, right there. Okay, as you can see, the wall is in the strength drain. Anything that runs up to hit it is going to be in the strength drain. And I found the weird mobs that tend to glitch through these walls will run right at the crystal and hit this. Yes, there'll be a little bit of damage on the crystal, but even without the strength drain, it barely hurt the crystal at all. And this is just a what-if scenario with the strength drains back a little bit farther, because I did have one wave. I ended up losing about 800 mobs before the end of 24, so I was very, very close. I only had one wave left to go. And I had a mob glitch right through the wall and somehow spun around to the back side of the crystal and smacked it, even though he came in from the front. Didn't have time to react to get to him in time, and he one-shot the crystal. So, again, this is just a what-if scenario, and I've done a lot of runs on here, more than I'd like to count. So, okay, final setup for this. It's a little bit tricky because most people don't realize you can do this. As far as the specs for my other characters, pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, you want to have roughly 200 to 300 in your tower attack, and 180, 200 in the rest, if at all possible. Now what I do here is I put the traps, which I'm actually going to be, and I should have done it before this video, is respec this guy down to less range, or size of the traps, because I found that the gas traps I drop right here, so I put them right in the middle as close as I can get, so they're about in the middle, just like that. I found these, since I upgraded my last piece of gear, these got a little bit too big, so when the gas traps trigger, they'll stop mobs like right here, and a lot of times they won't be triggering that. So chances are, when you're all said and done, you'll probably want under 145. I was going to drop down to like 20 instead of 41 in my radius, and see if that worked, because it didn't used to be an issue until I upgraded my gear, but it still works fine. I just got done earlier tonight running full 25 waves solo, so it can still be done, but it seemed to work better before I upgraded that gear. So this here, I try to put it covering the walls, but a little bit to the right as well, so that it'll trigger more when they're coming up this way, because sometimes you'll get guys that like to stand like right here and shoot at you or shoot at stuff. So okay, so the one tricky part on this, and this one here, you want to pull it off to the side as well. That'll help combat the archers and stuff that stand here and try to shoot at your walls. So tuck those off to the side. Right about there. And you want to make sure you have a fair amount on the back side of your walls too, for those ninjas that jump over the wall sometimes. So, okay, so now for the tricky part. Right now you've got your lightning and snare right here. As you can see, the snare is hitting them right after they come out now with the size. That's why I moved it back. Okay, so with the radius I have now, you want to have 40 or less base, because you want to get rid of everything that has any sort of AoE radius. So I get rid of everything except my boots and my weapon. Yeah. Okay, you're going to want to drop an Inferno trap. There's only one little sweet spot. You can barely get it in. Right there. Okay. You're going to do that on the other side, and that's going to be the build. Now, normally I find with starting on wave 7, by the end of wave 12, I can have everything at 3 stars, and then I pretty much just just AFK. Every few minutes I'll check and see what needs to be repaired, and then I just stand here at the forge pretty much the whole time. I would suggest, depending on your character selection for what you're going to be running the map on, I would suggest using a animus, or excuse me, not an animus, a guardian, an apprentice. They will buff the damage of your auras and stuff, so that'll help if your tower stats aren't that high. If you find you're dying a lot, even in the strength drain, which you really shouldn't, but if you are, you could switch to a DPS pet, and that'll help as well. So let's see, I think I've got everything back. Oh, no, I forgot my helmet. Alright, something to keep in mind, when you put your gear back on, the stats go back up as far as the max, but yet they'll still be at their old present value. So as you can see, these say 40, but actually the max now is 71, but I just tend to upgrade these anyway, just so that there's more charges. The more charges there are, the less you have to repair them. So this first wave, I always do that for all the proximities. Okay, so let me just go over the build again. On each side here, the north and the south, you've got lightning, clear up on the edge, pull your ensnare back just a little bit depending on the size of your aura, and inferno. Same thing on the other side. You got 2 mage walls in the back after you've swapped out from the spikes from the first wave. Proxies, your 3 stack of your auras here. At the front, 2 spike walls 3 aura stack, proxies. Don't forget that little wall there, that's very handy. And then this setup here. There's been some other, different ways I've seen people do it. They put enrage auras up here, or inferno auras, or they stack the gas traps back here and down this way, and I've seen it done a whole bunch of ways, but in all my trying and messing around, this seems to work the best. This way, these, once they're fully upgraded, I think I have like 164 charges, but even if you only have like say 100 charges, that would be fine. You just have to run out and repair them more. But what this does is it reduces any sort of clogging all the way up here, and being that you've got 3 spawns here, this clogs up pretty good depending on where you have your defenses. So this completely clears that out. And I'm lagging again. So that completely keeps it clear. The gas traps, what that'll do is while these are on cooldown, you'll still have mobs coming running through here like a bat out of hell. And this will trigger, and hopefully that'll stop them. It stops, I'd say this combo up here stops probably about 90% of the normal mobs, besides ninjas, which a lot of them will just run up here and jump across anyway. And then this setup here on the sides works really well. It'll stop probably a good 90% of the mobs coming both directions as well. Combination of lightning and fire, which burns forever, does really well. As long as you don't hang out back, as long as you hang out, say, in front of this wall for the most part, you shouldn't hardly get any mobs in the back. Every once in a while you'll get a few, but it'll be very, very minimal. The ninjas will go to the shortest route to the character, so try to stay up here as much as possible. I don't really have to do anything except repairs until wave 20, and then at that point I try to kill the ninjas that run up to these walls. So I'll just stand here, DPS some. Every 4 or 5 minutes I'll run up and repair the proxies, and that's about it. So hope you guys liked this layout. Try it. It's been flawless for me. I've done it 3-4 times now and haven't had a problem. So hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching.